عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. رب زدني علما. اللهم إني أسألك علما نافعا ورزقا طيبا وعملا متقبلا. Dear students, as you all know that this is your science video. First of all, we will revise the previous lesson. What we have learned in the previous lesson, we have learned about the cells as a building block of life. Cells, they are the main material which form the basics of living organisms. We also learned about the definition of the organisms. Organisms, they are the living part of our environment. Organisms, they can be defined as the living things, and all the organisms, they are made up of cells. So look at this slide. Cells are building blocks of life or living organisms. A cell is the smallest unit of living thing. You have to learn this definition. This is the definition of cell. How can we define a cell? A cell is the smallest unit of a living thing. A living thing, whether made up of one cells, all the living things that are made up of one cells, they are called the unicellular organisms. And the examples are like bacteria or many cells. They are the multicellular organisms. Like a human is called an organism. So it is concluded that either the cells are made up of only one, either the organisms are made up of only one cell, or the organisms, they are made up of many cells. Cells are the main material which make up these organisms. So the next thing is your activity. Okay, the activity is you have to close your eyes and picture a brick wall. What is the basic building block of that wall? Obviously, bricks, they are the main building block of that wall. Like a brick wall, your body is composed of basic building blocks, and the building blocks of your body are cells. This is the same thing that we already discussed, that cells are the main unit of life. They are the building block of life. They are the main thing which are responsible for making an organism. Okay, if we are studying about the cells, so we have to know that what will be the examples of the cell. This is the slide which represent a diagram of a cell. Look at this slide, look at this picture. The picture is representing a plant cell. How can we know that this is a plant cell? The main difference between plant and other cells is the presence of the chloroplast. As you can see easily here, that chloroplast is present. Chloroplast is present here. So this is the plant cell. Okay, if we are looking into other cell parts, there are many other cell parts and they are specialized for their specific functions. Okay, now look at this slide. Bacterial shapes are representing here. What is the bacteria? Bacteria is the unicellular organism. Okay, then the question is, what is the unicellular organism? Unicellular organisms are all the organisms that are made up of only one cell. The main thing is unicellular and multicellular. Both organisms are made up of cells. So cells are the basic unit of living organisms. They are represented, they are present in different forms as they are present in this picture. Other examples of cells are here: red blood cells, white blood cells, epithelial cells, nerve cells, and guard cells. Here are the different examples of cells, and these different examples of cells, they are specialized to perform their specific task. They are specialized for their specific functions. Okay, the next example is about the human body, that which type of cells they are making the human body. The examples are the heart muscle cells, red blood cells, nerve cells, fat cells, brain cells. And the arrow which is present here, this represents the presence of these cells. These are the examples of different cells which are making an organism like human being. So we can conclude it that cell is the smallest unit of living organism. You can also learn the definition of the cell, that cell is the smallest unit of living organisms. Unicellular organisms are made up of one cell only. The cells of multicellular organisms are specialized to perform different functions. Like the mesophyll cells, they are specialized for photosynthesis. As we have discussed in the previous slides, that different cells, they are specialized for their specific functions. They are performing their special functions. Same like that, if we are discussing the plant cell, if we are discussing about the plant cell, then mesophyll cells, they are present in plant cells. And what is the function? What will be the function of that cell? Its function is in photosynthesis. Okay, then the root hair cells, they are responsible for water absorption. So we can say that all the cells, they are specialized for their specific functions in living organisms. The cell is the structural and functional unit of life. All living things are made up of tiny cells. Life begins with a single cell. All the life activities take place within the cell. A cell performs all the biochemical processes that a body requires. So from these lines, we can say that cell forms the basic thing for making of any organisms and for controlling the activities of different organisms. Okay, if we have to discuss about the examples of cells that are present in human body, then we can discuss the example of cell, the red blood cell in the human body, and this cell is primarily tasked with transporting oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, what will be the function of red blood cells? Red blood cells, they are the main component of our blood. So its function is to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide. Another example of specialized cell is the photoreceptor cell. And what is the location of this cell? Photoreceptor cells, they are found in the eye. This type of cell is tasked with converting light into signals, and these signals are further taken away from the eyes into brain. The last example is about the blood cells, and this one is about the red blood cells, which we have already discussed. This one is the structure of red blood cell, and the next thing is about the functioning. Red blood cells, they are specialized for oxygen and carbon dioxide transportation. They carry oxygen through tiny blood vessels to each individual cell, and they carry carbon dioxide away from each cell. This picture represents the red blood cells. The last thing is about your homework. You have to draw the diagram of red blood cells on the loose sheet and also write the functioning of red blood cells. Jazakumullahu khairan. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.